Welcome to the Traffic IQ Professional Overview presentation. This is quite a lengthy presentation, but hopefully at the end of it you will understand what Traffic IQ Professional is, what it's used for, what are the main features of Traffic IQ Professional, but more importantly, how you can benefit from using Traffic IQ Professional to test your networks.
So what is Traffic IQ Professional? It basically is a penetration testing software. It's safe, it's reliable, it's easy to use, and it is fully loaded. It's there to test and audit and evaluate the security posture of your IT networks. It does this by using stateful packet replay and packet analysis. It can play live packet captures of exploit traffic. It can also play regular traffic, a number of different protocols within the library. It can help you with regulatory compliance, such as your PCI DSS or your HIPAA compliance, or any audits you need to do for those kinds of compliance. It can help in a change control procedure, so you can use this to test your networks before any change control, make the changes, and then after come back and use Traffic IQ again to make exactly the same types of traffic replay through your networks to see if anything has changed, to make sure that your firewalls, your IPSs and your IDSs are all filtering packets as they should. And of course, if you are under the task of IPS, IDS signature development, you can use Traffic IQ to replay traffic, knowing that you are replaying exactly the same traffic, exactly the same way, using exactly the same parameters that you used initially over and over again, and you can make tweaks to your IPS, IDS signatures until you get it exactly right. Traffic IQ comes loaded with a library of over 5,000 exploit traffic files now, and some regular traffic files. It also includes their data that comes with those traffic files, and uniquely there is a security rule that goes alongside the traffic file, so if that is allowed through your networks and you so wish, you can export a security rule in the snort format. You can load that up to your IPS or your IDS, and you can retest using exactly the same traffic file, and to make sure if that rule worked, and make sure that you are now blocking the malicious traffic. Historically, we've got a number of attack tools that are out there at the moment. There's quite a few actually. They had some inherent problems. They were typically stateless in transmission. They were unidirectional in most cases, so you could only fire in one direction to attack, but you could not respond to any traffic that was coming back from the hosts. Most of them required Unix or Linux experience, so you had to have some development experience to actually get on the box, get it up and running, and get the attacks going down through the network. A lot of them had one point of entry. So what I mean by that is they have one IP address. So you'll set up the attack scenario using an IP address and a port. You run the then test a range of IP addresses. There was no way to do this unless you ran the test again using this different IP address. I'm not talking about the scanning side of life. I'm talking about the actual exploiting. So you would exploit from one IP address to another IP address, which is great, but if that IP address then gets blocked or stopped along the way, you have to reconfigure and run the attack again. Then they all required a sacrificial host, so you have to physically attack a box on your network, and that obviously came with some problems. It could cause a system to crash, or it could DOS, and obviously these are open source, most of them, so you can never guarantee that they're actually going to operate in the way that you wished them to operate. So they could cause some kind of denial of service on the end sacrificial host, which is never a good thing. Okay, Traffic IQ, how does it overcome these problems? Well, it's stateful in transmission, so it guaranteed packet delivery. So it will send from the transmit side to a receive side, and it will report on whether that has been delivered correctly, and if it hasn't, it will send back a message between the send and receive side to make sure that it's guaranteed packet delivery. It's bidirectional traffic flow, so you run the attack in both directions. It will respond to any traffic, and it will reply back to any exploit that it sees on the other end. It's Windows operating system, so there's no development knowledge needed. straight away you can get on there. It's open up the application on a Windows machine, point and click technology, and you can see in a nice graphical user interface what's going on, how the traffic's going from A to B, what packets are getting delivered, what packets are getting blocked. You can control a number of things on the box, which you'll see in the demonstrations, but the speeds and the safety measures, they can all be controlled using the graphical user interface. And of course, there are no sacrificial hosts or live exploits, so Traffic IQ Professional does not attack live hosts on the network. It will simulate live hosts and it will test your networks without affecting a single host on your networks, which is a great positive for Traffic IQ. So why do I need Traffic IQ Professional? I can hear you all asking that question. Well, contrary to popular belief, money does not grow on trees. I think we all know that in these sort of times, but it's to save time and money. There are no requirements for outside consultancies. Now, that doesn't mean that for certain auditing requirements you don't need to go to an outside agency, but what it means is you can be prepared prior to going to that outside agency if need be, or you can just do all your auditing inside your own IT management tree. So you don't need to pay, and you don't need to wait, of course, for the report to come back from an auditing company to then find out that you've got to make more changes to the network. Then you have to pay to get another penetration test done from an outside consultancy. They do a test, another report, and all this process takes time, and obviously it costs money. And to reduce your risk, there's no open source tools required, so therefore you know that you're fully supported by IDAPCOM. And of course, as we mentioned, there's no sacrificial hosts. Nothing's going to get damaged by the test. You can run it safely within your networks. Nothing's going to get denial of service. Nothing's going to break. Nothing's going to power down when you don't expect it. And to maintain control, so you're not going out to the other consultancies to do your testings, but more so, you're not reliant on waiting for vendor updates. So if you've got an intrusion prevention system or a detection system on your network, you're not waiting for a monthly or a weekly update to come through. If you see something that's happening out there in the wild, you see an attack, you hear about an attack, you do not need to worry about a vendor hearing about that attack and updating your systems. You can test within your own environment, point and click, with the live traffic file that we provide. You'll get an answer straight away whether it's blocked or allowed by your IPS, and if there is a security rule in there for the traffic file, you can export it, apply it, and you're secured straight away. So you're not reliant upon outside agencies. So how does it work? Pretty straightforward. Traffic IQ will bind two virtual hosts to the network interface cards of your choosing. So you have a workstation or a laptop with two interface cards. It will bind a sending host and a receiving host to both of those network interface cards. They are purely in stealth mode, so they are not responding to network traffic on the network. You can set the IP addresses to any IP address range or of your choosing, and any MAC address of your choosing. Obviously this needs to be an IP address within your network, but as long as that is a perfectly acceptable IP address and MAC address, you can set them to whatever you want, and it's literally, as you will see, a point and click. And then those virtual hosts will send traffic through the appliance and back, testing to see if it was blocked or allowed, and you'll get a report to say whether it was or whether it was not. Obviously, we're not just talking about testing one single box. You're not talking about testing a firewall, testing an IPS or a packet filtering device. We're talking here about connecting and checking the whole network. So you can send traffic down from your perimeter edge all the way through to your access switches as if there was a host on that access switch, and it will send traffic back, and it will record whether the traffic was allowed or blocked along route. So you're testing in one fell click of a button the IPSs all the way along route, all the firewalls, all the routers, the switches, and you're getting a correct report at the end to say whether that malicious traffic file was allowed or whether it was blocked. System requirements are pretty straightforward. You've got an entry-level laptop or workstation. It can be any Microsoft Windows version up through to Windows 7 64-bit, Pentium 2 or equivalent, 512 megs of RAM, 80 megs of hard disk space. Most importantly, you need two interface cards, be they copper, fiber or wireless. These can also be a USB type interface card, so you don't need two interfaces actually physically plumbed into your laptop or workstation, and it can be deployed as a virtual machine also. Traffic IQ can be found online, or you can get it straight from the sales at idap.com. But if you go to the homepage www.idap.com, click on the links or go /downloads. Straightforward, follow the links, download Traffic IQ to your desktop, click install, and that's it. When you download it from the web, you will be given an initial 15-day free license. It comes with basic support, but it supports packet captures, so if you've got any packet captures that you have saved and you want to replay them, you can with the free 15-day license, and you can use the command line. However, as you can see there from that matrix, it's very reduced in what you can do. The advice is to get in touch with sales and apply for an evaluation copy, which will give you 30 days evaluation, and as you can see there from the matrix, you get yourself opened up a lot more options. If you go to www.idapcom.com license matrix, you will see that matrix that's there on the screen, and you can have a look and see what's turned on, what's turned off with the different licenses. So if you want to get hold of a license, the best thing to do, my advice, is to open up the application and go to the help menu at the top, drop it down and go to About Traffic IQ Professional, and you will see this window. At the top there you'll see Unique ID. Now that's unique to your installation that you've got on your machine. The two methods that you can get to via this window are via the web application for a license, or you can apply via email. Pretty straightforward. You click the via the web, you'll be taken off to www.idapcom.com/licensing, and you'll see a form that you need to fill out, and the unique ID that you've got from your installation will be automatically filled out into that form, so you don't need to remember the huge long number there. That'll be filled out on the form. You fill out your name, your email address and your telephone number, send it off to sales, and as soon as that's processed you will be sent your unique key. Okay, the other option is via email. If you click on the via email button, you will automatically open up a new mail in an email client. The body of the email will be already filled out with the unique ID at the bottom, as you can see there, and all you need to do is fill out again your name, your company, your address, your telephone number, click send, and that will go off to sales at idap.com. As soon as it's processed, again you'll receive your key back. So once you receive your key, click on the apply license and navigate to where your key has been stored. You'll see it will be a file that starts TIQP, then the unique ID, and then it'll be an extension of .key, K-E-Y. Click on that, and as long as it's successful, you'll get that little prompt there, and you'll just click OK. Okay, the second thing you should do once you've got your license, you should go on to the help bar again and go on to your updates, just to make sure that you've got all the latest files installed, you've got the latest software updates, and make sure you're running the correct versions. If you aren't needing any updates, you will get a link in this window which will take you off to the web again, and you can just download the files that you are missing. Okay, the last thing on the help bar I just wanted to show you was the help contents. If you have any problems operating Traffic IQ Professional, if you go to the help contents, there is a very large help library. If you look on the left there's a tree that you can go down the contents and choose an option there, or you can go into the search tab and you can search for a topic or a keyword, and it's very extensive. It'll give you any information that you require to get you up and running using any of the tools with Traffic IQ Professional. Right, let's look at the main screen there. You can see across the top we have 8 functions. These are the tools that you will be using with Traffic IQ Professional. Onto the right hand side, it's the first one I wanted to look at, because you have to first set up the parameters that are going to be used to get you on the network that you're going to be testing. So first thing you really need to do is make sure that you are using a valid IP address and MAC address, and you need to bind your hosts to the network interface cards, as we said. So this is where you go here. You go to the left, you just click and you make changes. Now, obviously, as you can see there on the image, the two hosts are connected as if they're connected by one single crossover cable. This would be for the testing of layer 2 devices such as a switch or an IDS. In this scenario, it doesn't matter what your IP addresses are set to, because it's totally transparent and the host will talk no matter what. However, if you are connecting to a layer 3 type device, a router or a firewall that has an IP address on the interface card that you're connecting to, then you'll need to go ahead and make sure that the IP addresses here are actually acceptable on your network, otherwise it won't work. There are a number of other options you can make changes to. You can make changes to the delay in sending traffic, or you can make changes to the delay in sending packets. So you can make some adjustments here. You can also set the time to lives, the hop counts that are going to be applied to all the packets leaving Traffic IQ. And then there's a retries that you can make changes to. So if you lose a packet within a certain timeout, Traffic IQ will attempt to resend that packet a number of times depending on what you set at the retries. Down the bottom here, as we mentioned, if you're connecting to a layer 3 device, such as a firewall or a router, put a checkbox in there and you will get the images on the left with gateways. Simply set up your gateway IP addresses and MAC addresses, and this will allow you to work through the layer 3 network as if you were any other network device on your network. The last thing I want to show you on this screen is the random sequence number generation. Cisco, PIX and ASA have something called random sequence number generation. It's a security feature that Cisco have designed and use. Traffic IQ can work with this. As long as you check this button, it will know to accept and look out for random sequence number generation. At the bottom of the screen, at the top of the screen, if you are happy with the settings that you've chosen, you can click Save, and this means that next time you run Traffic IQ, you can click Open, and you can open your saved settings, so you don't have to configure every single time. You can also save these settings to be the defaults for the command prompt. So rather than go through the command line and type in all the settings by line, if you save these as the defaults, these will be the default settings that are used at the command prompt. If you click the Advanced button, there are a number of things that are unique to Traffic IQ, in that as well as changing the IP address on the network interface card at the lower levels, you can also change the IP addresses at the higher levels, so such as the HTTP headers or the FTP commands and the SMB packets. If you make a change in the virtual host, it will make changes to packets at the higher levels as well as the lower levels. Quite a unique little feature, that. Okay, traffic replay on the far left tool now. If you look down the left hand pane, you can see your directory structure of your machine that you're on, and you can navigate to where you keep your traffic files. Within the traffic files on Traffic IQ Pro, the default, you can see on the right hand side there all the traffic files are listed, and to replay, it's simply a case of selecting the traffic file that you wish to play, and you've got a play, a pause and a stop button at the top, and you just click play and it will play the file in one direction and reply in another direction between the two virtual hosts, and you will see the traffic flow. Traffic IQ will only play two types of file, that's packet captures in the PCAP format and in the CAR format, .car. However, that doesn't mean to say that you cannot import other formats, it just means they will be converted on import. So any other file capture that you have from other applications, you can import here and it will save them as a .car file, and then you can replay them through Traffic IQ. At the top of where the list of files are, you can make on-the-fly changes to IP addresses, the direction of flow from external to internal or internal to external. You can also make changes to the port numbers that are used on the traffic files. If you put a port with a asterisk, as you can see there on the image, that will choose a randomly chosen port numbers, so such as source port numbers that choose ephemeral ports. This will do exactly the same thing. It will choose a random port. If you put port 0, it will use the port number that was on the actual packet capture file when it was recorded. You can obviously then change the port number to any port number that you require, and that will be appended to each packet as it leaves Traffic IQ. As you play a file, the adapter status will be displayed at the bottom there between the virtual hosts. There will also be the traffic status, so you can see what was allowed, what was blocked, and the packet status, so you can see if any packets were dropped or blocked or retransmitted, and it all recorded at the bottom. Moving on to traffic groups. Now, when IDAPCOM issue their traffic files, they are issued as a group file, and they will come out every month, and they will be named as such. So you will have July, August, September 2012, and there will be group files. But you can also make your own groups, and this is useful for if you have a number of Linux servers, for example, or you have some Windows servers or whatever. If you just want to group files, you can go through, and using the library is a good way of doing this, is searching in the library for certain parameters, and then you can export them as a group file, and then you can just open and run the traffic files that are pertinent to the network that you're testing. So you don't have to go through every time and find the files you want to play. You just replay the groups, and that's a quick and easy way to test certain types of hosts that you want to test. Traffic scan list. Now this is probably one of the most powerful tools, especially for things like change control. So you can run a scan list, make a change, and then you can come back and run a scan list again. It's powerful in such that you can choose only one file or a number of files, but you can make changes to the IP addresses and the port numbers, and you can make changes which allow for ranges. So if you wanted to make a test on a whole subnet, a whole VLAN, you can choose one file or two files or how many files you wish, run those exploits, but it will run from one IP address right the way through to the other end of your VLAN or your subnet to that IP address, one after another. So you have one entry and it will go all the way through. And it can also test ports. So if you've got a number of web ports that you run, 8081, 8080 or 8180, all those, you can put in a range of ports or a list of ports, and it will test that one file against that range of IP addresses or that range of ports. It's so powerful, and you can play traffic in any direction, and you can repeat any number of times. Once you've saved it, it will display there as a list, and then you can check on or off and simply go through and play as before the whole list, and it will go through, and again you'll get a report at the end to say what was allowed, what was not allowed, and at the bottom you can display packet status and adapter status as that's played. It's a really powerful tool. Like I said before, you can select what files you want to put in the scan list and how you want to test, record your results, then save that scan list, make your changes, upgrade your networks, install your latest IPS or IDS, whatever it is you're doing to the network. You can then open it up and you get the same scan list. You can test and then you compare results quick and easy. If there's something needs changing, you can quickly go through, make the changes again, run the scan list, one more click, and again it will check the whole subnet if required, all the ports if required. So going back to what we said earlier about external agencies waiting for reports to get written, you can do it in one click. You're tested, make the change, test again, make the change, test again until you're happy, and then if required, go to your outside external auditor, get them to do the test, and you know it'll pass first time. Really powerful tool. Okay, as I mentioned before, there is a command line prompt, command prompt that you can use. Now, the use of this is for such applications that can run other applications by the use of a batch file, or they can do things at the command line prompt. So Traffic IQ will run files from the command prompt. You can save them as a batch file, and you can use Windows Scheduler, for example, to schedule to run tests out of hours. The actual window you're seeing here is the command prompt window within Traffic IQ, which means you can actually go through and get used to running the files from the command prompt using the application before you save it as a batch file. So in here you can have a play around, you can have a look, you can type the different commands, see the different commands before you actually go through and leave it as a batch file, so you can see the files being played from the command line. Now the traffic editor is one of my favorite tools. I use this extensively in testing IPSs and networks. It allows you to open up a single traffic file, but you can see it at the byte level and at the packet level. So it's similar to Ethereal or Wireshark, TCP dump, those sort of things, where you can actually see, but graphically see each packet. Now the powerful thing you can do with the editor on Traffic IQ, you're not just looking at the bytes, you can make changes to the bytes. So you can make changes to any single byte within that packet. You can then save the traffic file and then you can replay it with the modifications that you've made throughout. So this could be changing case of letters, backslashes and forward slashes, mixing and matching, changing the actual words. Anything you want to make changes to, you can. You save it, you replay it, and it's testing your IPS for certain evasion techniques or certain obfuscations that you want to put in on that packet. Another great tool. As well, like on the traffic replay and the groups, if you go to settings, you can make changes as well to the IP addresses, so the lower levels and the port numbers and the direction as you go on the fly. So you can make changes there. Scripting engine, as we come across. For those of you who are experienced in VBA, Visual Basics for Applications, you can use the scripting engine. There are a number of examples that are included within Traffic IQ, but this allows you the flexibility to go ahead and write your own attack code in the VB language. There is, if you go to the help file, an extensive explanatory text about how to use the scripting engine, but like I say, for those that are used to using VB, it's pretty simple. There are a number of methods and objects that you can use to open up sockets, play traffic, inspect the response you get back from certain hosts, and then to make some more replay or fire or deliver an exploit or a payload. Really powerful tool if you're into VBA. Like I said before, after every file or number of files have been played with Traffic IQ, you can click on the Reports tab and it will open up this window, and you can then see your results of what was played. So you can see straight away what was allowed and what was blocked. You can make filters upon what you're seeing, so you can filter out for just what is blocked, just what was allowed, so you can have a really drill down. You can view the packets or the traffic, so depending on how you like. And you can also view here the security rule. So if you make a filter for what was allowed through your network or through your IPSs, you can drill down and you can see if Traffic IQ has a security rule. If it does have a security rule, you can export the security rule and you can then paste that into your IPS, load it up. You can then run the test again to see if that security rule blocked the traffic. A really easy way to test and to remediate and to protect yourself immediately from that traffic threat.
That brings us to the end of the Traffic IQ Professional Overview. I hope you enjoyed watching, and we were IDAPCOM.